Hi. Trophy hunting is one of my favourite pastimes and has been for years. Nowadays it still is, although to a lesser degree because I spend more of my time lying on the floor, dead after work. I don't mean to brag, but I currently have over 11,000 trophies, and I keep them in this room here. I don't know how I'm gonna get them back in there now. I've been logging onto PSN profiles a lot more recently, and something that stood out to me was that I had over 9,000 unobtained trophies, meaning that I have only 51% of the total trophies in my trophy list. And that just doesn't sit right with me. So I've set myself a goal. I'm gonna go back down my trophy list, pick out games that have little to no earned trophies and get as many as I can to try and boost my overall obtained trophies to 75%. This means I need to earn roughly 4,770 trophies from games that I've already got in my trophy list. Okay, and I'm picking up on a little bit of regret here. No. There are certain aspects to take into consideration here. Sometimes games get new DLC that I haven't looked at, and then there's games like Dead by Daylight that have 230 trophies. Oh. And they're all RNG based nonsense, and nope, I'm not going to subject myself to that. Now the goal here isn't to get a platinum trophy every time. Some games, the platinum trophy is literally unobtainable because of online trophies. Take a game like Resistance 2 for example. The online servers have been shut down, which locks out 3 trophies, but leaves me with 30 other possible trophies to get. So let's pick our first game. I'm gonna pick, maybe this one? Oh, so many options. Perhaps this one? I don't know. Let's go for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. A game that I only need 18 trophies for. Okay, so I came up with this idea while I was going for the platinum. You see, I'd recently learned that the online servers had been incredibly active again, much more active than in 2015 when I originally tried the multiplayer. So I reinstalled it on a whim, and to my surprise, I found match after match. So I figure, why not test the waters? Haha, it's because of the boat. And have some fun getting the platinum trophy for a game that I first played 8 years ago. Now I didn't want to risk the multiplayer suddenly dying again, so I started with that. I don't have any footage of it, but trust me, I started at level 3. Yes, that is how dead the multiplayer was last time I attempted to play it. My favourite character to play as was the Puppeteer for her personality. There are only 5 multiplayer trophies for Black Flag, the easiest of which is Personal Bag of Tricks. You get this for finishing any game with a loadout that you've customized. And I reckon the next easiest is Lab Technician, for playing the lab mode in a public session. It's usually like the Wanted game mode with the compass, but with various tweaks, removing the Whispers feature so you don't know how close your pursuer is, or disabling certain abilities and ranged weapons. It actually came around fairly commonly, but don't get stuck on it, because unlike every other mode where the XP you earn goes straight into your level, the lab dishes out set amounts of XP for winning or losing, and it's not great. Master of the Caribbean is for completing the discovery mode of Wolfpack, a mode that's essentially a tutorial for the multiplayer as a whole. Up to 4 people work together to take down NPCs on a time limit. The more points you get, the more time you have to complete the match. The goal is to make it to the final round, and if you run out of time, you start again from round 1. I really like it, and the best thing is that you can polish it all off in solo sessions by yourself. And to this day, it is still the most recommended way to grind XP in the multiplayer. But now on to the beefier 2 trophies. Moo. The most time-consuming one being to reach level 55, and that comes in tandem with All-Rounder for playing on every game mode and using every ability and ranged weapon once. The last abilities and ranged weapons unlock between level 50 and level 55, however you can get this one early by using a perk that allows you to copy the loadout of the person who kills you. And given that you'll be killed by people who are in the high prestige numbers a lot, I'm not mad, there's a good chance that you'll get some fancy stuff when you copy their loadout. Better yet, you don't even need to get a kill with it, you just need to target some poor civilian and whoops, my finger slipped. Where this trophy is more frustrating is finding a game mode that you haven't played. On my first night of playing, I was lucky enough to get a match in every game mode but Domination, and I mean lucky. The two most common game modes are Wanted, where you roam around with a compass pointing towards your enemy, and Deathmatch, which is the same thing but without a compass, making it a little bit more difficult. The game makes it difficult to find the modes that you need too. You can search for them by starting a custom search and selecting the mode you want, but after maybe 30 seconds, the game decides to give up and just search for every mode. Even when there are other people in the lobby waiting to start the same match, the game will still split you up in a favor of finding any type of game. And at the end of the match, there's always a mode and map selection screen, but it's always two of the same mode you've just played and one random one. And if Deathmatch is part of that selection, you can almost guarantee that you're playing that one next. So for the love of God, make sure you're writing down what modes and abilities you've used. But by far, the most annoying issue with the multiplayer is the lag. Oh, a gamer complaining about lag? That's about as common as me finding rubbish in my bin. But hear me out. The amount of times I would be in the middle of a stun animation and end up being killed uncontested, or be in the middle of the animation for my own kill worth a good amount of points and have my teammates sprint in there and suddenly they got the kill for a quarter of the points, was infuriating. And look at some of these deaths, like, how did that one even happen? This was consistent throughout my whole time in the multiplayer, and the game said I had good ping, so I don't know what's going on there. I spent most of this grind playing with a friend, and good God, neither of us have raged like this in a while. The best tip I can give you if you attempt this is to put on the Determined perk, which doesn't let your points on a kill get halved even if your pursuer contests you. It's not much, but when there's no choice but to sprint at your target, whether it be because of your teammates or your target spots you and legs it, at least you can still get 150 points on a kill instead of 75. Oh, and learn how the abilities work. I didn't realize until level 53 that I could use the crowd morph ability from a distance by locking onto someone in the crowd and holding the ability button. Had I worked this out earlier, I would have saved myself a lot of stupid moments where I gave myself away and my target stunned me and escaped. Complaints aside, I had an alright time with this. Except for the match where I actually got the trophy. That was, not a good match. Now with the multiplayer trophies out of the way, finally, I can move on to the single player. I started the single player campaign on the 7th of January 2015, and around the same time I obtained all 16 story trophies for completing sequences 1 through 13 and all of the present day missions. During my playthrough, I also snagged 14 miscellaneous trophies, leaving only 13 single player trophies to go. I jumped back into this before I decided to turn my adventure into a video, and the first trophy I gunned down was King of the Castle. You get this for capturing all of the forts, by gunning them down and then shafting the commander. Like most of the trophies I hadn't gotten, this one was pretty easy. My mindset back in 2015 was, well, the multiplayer screwed me over, so why bother going for anything else? However, in saying that, the next trophy that popped was Sharing is Caring, for sharing each type of discovery event with friends at least once. This trophy is renowned for being a pain to get. There are 3 types of social events that automatically share whenever you're in their proximity: chests, royal convoys, and white whales. They're entirely RNG based, and here's a map showing where they could possibly spawn at any given time. I had no idea what events I'd already discovered or which ones I needed. I was running around town and the trophy just popped. I didn't even realize what the trophy was until I stopped to look at it, and then I saw the chest over there in the background. Do you see it? It's right there. Folks, thank you very much for joining me on this fine day. I'd like to start off by saying a little grace if I could. Praise be to Ubisoft for having the foresight and the decency to code in a large detection radius on the discovery events in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. We forgive you for the path that you went down with the Assassin's Creed franchise. We cannot, however, forgive the sin that was Far Cry New Dawn. It was just fucking awful, like Jesus Christ, what were they thinking? The next trophies unlocked were for exploring all underwater shipwrecks, harpooning a killer whale, and discovering all locations. I also decided that I had enough games for one day and left the Animus in favour of hacking my co-workers' computers. There are 2 hacking mini-games. One where you move a dot through some lines, and if you hit a red line, you reset, because red equals bad. This minigame is incredibly dull, but thankfully the other was pretty good. It's a puzzle where you have to move the dot along set distances around a sphere until you get it onto the correct line. It's not too complex, but I found it to be an enjoyable puzzle. A day later, I found the last tavern and needed unlocking the Barfly trophy. I needed to craft the hunter outfit for this trophy here. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. I spent a while looking for the red howler monkey skin, but all I could find was jaguars. Oh no, that's one of them jaguars that I wasn't looking for. Lying in trees and in the location they exclusively spawn, there is a chest at the far side of the clearing that can be used to gain easy view of the surrounding monkeys. I think what IGN is telling me is that I need to go back over to my chest and just chill until I see a monkey. Thankfully though, Twitch chat was here to help me out with this one. If I have money, I can buy the hide from a general store. Surely it's a hunty thing. Oh my god. Why isn't this mentioned in like the IGN article? You're tearing this house apart, Lisa. Oh, hi Mar. And just after that, I successfully recruited 500 crew members for the Cannon Fodder Trophy, which is aptly named because most of my crew died when I was using the cannons. Hey, let's go. Sea Legs is obtained by completing all naval contracts, and this one stumped me a bit because I couldn't see any more contract starts on the map. Turns out the game is just a tad bit bugged and the mission icon just wasn't showing up. But once that was taken care of, I unlocked the final naval mission, which is labelled as mission number 9 out of 15, but whatever, that's not confusing, thanks Ubisoft. I spent a long time grinding off camera just because I knew I needed so much money to upgrade the jackdaw and the hideout. Speaking of the hideout, I let the idea of a trophy get the better of me here and I spent $58,000. I definitely should have sunk this money into the jackdaw first to have the best chance at defeating all legendary ships later on, leaving the payout from them to in turn fund the hideout, because unlike in previous Assassin's Creed games where putting money into your base generates passive income, as far as I can tell, adding a $40,000 guest house to your hideout does as much as I do when I'm dead after work. And that is what we refer to in film as a callback. If you're going for the platinum on this game, this is the last trophy that you should go for. The next trophy on my list was for 100%ing every story mission, and to my surprise, my completion was much higher than I expected. That is much higher than I expected. Now, I'm not going to go over every mission, so here are the ones that stood out. Alright lads. This is the first mission that I replayed, and as I'd spend a lot of my time casually boating, the on-foot controls got the better of me, and the mission went about as well as you'd expect. Oh, I've gone the wrong direction. No, I need to be up high. Oh, this isn't going well. Oh, okay. Stop. No. Oh, no. No, not doing that. Son of a... Alright, lads. The objective was simple. Stay out of combat. It's almost the same as not being detected, because as soon as that enemy bubble thingy turns from yellow to red, you're pretty much in a combat situation. The mission followed a fairly narrow path, so staying out of combat overall was pretty easy, until the area opened up at the end and there were guards everywhere. Thankfully, again, Twitch chat was here to point out that the no combat section of the mission was over. Check if you finished no combat. You're right! It popped up and I didn't see it, but once I realized, my approach changed so quickly. Good thing we finished combat. Alright lads. The guard was in my cutscene.
Natty hands off me! I can't let you kill those men, kid. Not until I found the sage. Alright lads.
The objective, stay out of combat. This one gave me a decent amount of trouble because you needed to infiltrate a boat and steal a flag at the very top of the mast. There were guards everywhere looking in every direction, and I'd show you, but I accidentally put my face over the map. Good job. My first thought was to sneak onto the boat and take a few guards out. This got me spotted very quickly and led to combat. On my second attempt, I stealth swam around the side of the boat no one was looking at and tried to climb straight to the top. It was going great, except for this one guy looking at me, which led to combat. My third attempt was much the same, except I snuck up a different part of the ship no one was looking at, except for this other one guy who saw me, which led to combat. On the fourth attempt, I took the same approach, except I remembered that I had a tranquilizer gun, so I used it on that arsehole that saw me before and his friend for good measure, and this led to success. Except it didn't really, because I also had to stay out of combat sailing through all of these enemy ships. It was going really smoothly, and I reached my next objective, which I also had to stay out of combat for. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit easier just to sort of stealth kill people this time. It's not. After a few resets, I found that just swimming all the way around to the objective was the best move, and just like that, the game threw me into a tougher scenario, and you guessed it, I also had to stay out of combat for this section. I tried every approach imaginable, taking out one guard tower first in a variety of ways, then switching to the other tower further down and going back and forth, and finally, I did it. This mission took nearly an hour to finish, and was definitely the toughest mission to 100% for me.
Alright, lads.
Easy. Use guards as a human shield and stay out of combat. I hate this game. Overall, the mission was fine, except I didn't know which part I needed to stay out of combat for, so I spent way too long stealthing around and finding the target, and in the end failed the objective because it popped up while I was already in combat. But the replay wasn't awful because I knew where everything was and where I needed to go.
Alright, lads.
The last thing I needed to finish was the final story mission, and I was so hyped about finishing I straight up ran past all the guardians I needed to free without realizing they were there, and had to replay this mission as well. I goofed! No! But I did it. Trophy? Yeah! Next in my master plan was to finish upgrading the Jackdaw. Some final upgrades are locked behind plans that you have to find, and some plans are locked behind a treasure map that you need to find first. These were fairly easy to track down, especially with the help of a guide. And once I had all of those, it was time to get the final upgrades for my ship. I was still a bit short on cash, but luckily I realized that I only needed metal and could cash out on all the other resources I had collected. However, while I was reading chat and they were busy telling me not to be bad, this happened. Just don't be bad. Thank you. I'll try and take that into consideration the next time. I just sold the metal. No, I just sold all my metal! Oh, no! Yeah. So, the best way I found to grind metal drops was to attack large man of war ships, and when you're on wanted level 4, a hunter man of war will always track you down. While doing this, I had a spur of confidence and took down all of the legendary ships. I'd done one while I wasn't recording, and since then I'd upgraded the Jackdaw a bit, so the next 3 were easy. And by 3, I mean that one of the legendary ships is actually 2 ships, so there's really 5, and the trophy description is a lie. Even though the 2 boats tried to pull that same maneuver on me from Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, I still took them down with ease. And at this stage, I was fairly cocky, but that last ship put me in my place. It was heavily armoured, it only took decent damage from mortars and shots from behind, insert innuendo here. It took me 6 or 7 attempts, but with the right combination of ducking and weaving, I won. Barely. Chains are not good, we did it! Last legendary ship, we did it! Then, finally, after a little more grinding, I had enough resources to finish upgrading my ship, and after nearly 9 years, the platinum for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was mine. Yeah! We did it! But wait, there's more! If you like Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, then you'll absolutely love the DLC, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Freedom is both a normal DLC and a standalone DLC. I happen to own the standalone DLC because I got it for free on PlayStation Plus a few years back. I started it, got stuck in the game's geometry, and then deleted it. So it only seemed right to re-download it and finish it along with the main game. Naturally, the first thing I did was try and get stuck in the same piece of geometry that I did in 2017. I've done it. I'm stuck. I've done it. This got me the GG You Win trophy. The Freedom Cry standalone has a few more trophies than the base game DLC one, and they are all copied from the base game trophy list. Trophies like swimming 1 nautical mile, harpooning a killer whale, killing a guard, ringing a bell, boarding a ship without losing any crew, assassinations from a swing rope, and plundering 30 ships. Plundering the ships is the one that took me the longest. Out of the 8 hours it took me to 100% the DLC, an hour and a half was just mindless naval combat. While playing through the game, I easily got 5 kills with 1 shot from the blunderbuss and rescued over half of the slaves needed for the Liberation trophy. Slaver ships are very common and they have 100 slaves on them each, so 2 of those after I finished the main story made this one easy simple. There are only 9 story missions for the DLC and it took around 5 hours to finish. I was paying careful attention to the 100% sync missions going through them, and after completing the story I only had 3 left to clean up. The toughest one was this one, where you had to steal 5 pieces of information without being detected. Shocker that one was the most difficult for me. The last mission required me to disarm the bad guy and kill him with his branding iron. I had to work out how to disarm guards and take their weapons after the fact because I could not remember how. But the mission was nice and short, popping the 100% trophy and meaning that after all these years, I had 100% for both games. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like down the bottom. And might I entice you to hit that subscribe bell, which is also down there? This is fake. This one's fake.